Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Zimbabwe, no immunity for Mnangagwa. Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa says the country's former ruler Robert Mugabe and his family are not immune from prosecution, dispelling reports that the former first family had been granted immunity. Mugabe, who had ruled the southern African nation for 37 years, stepped down from power last November following a de facto military coup. Mnangagwa was speaking on his maiden trip to the World Economic Forum, in Davos, where he also rebuffed reports that government had paid Mugabe a $10 million exit package. "No, we have not given anybody any immunity. What I'll have promised to my former president and the founding father of our nation, former President Mugabe, is that first we give him a package. A very lucrative package," Mnangagwa said. Mugabe still receives his salary and enjoys benefits such as state-funded security, travel by first class and frequent medical checkups in Singapore. "We are not saying that if anybody commits a crime then their former status will stop the police dealing with that issue. My approach is zero tolerance to corruption and there are no sacred cows in dealing with that." Since coming into office last November, Mnangagwa has promised to stem corruption with a number of high-profile graft cases involving former ministers and Mugabe's government being hauled before the courts. Mnangagwa said elections would be held earlier than July, insisting that his ZANU-PF party will respect the outcome of the polls. "We are very clear the purpose of an election is to have the electorate select a team or persons whom they think addresses their challenges and their needs. If we lose elections, that's it. Whichever party wins the election will proceed to take the reins of power because they will have appealed to the electorate, perhaps with better policies and so on." Mnangagwa has extended an invitation to the European Union, EU, to come observe the polls. Godmick calls Zodwawa Bantu a disgrace to future generations. You'd be hard-pressed to find a more talked-about local celebrity than Zodwawa Bantu, and this week her name is on the lips of a Godmick. Nkosi Malaban became the most recent person to share her disdain for the popular Zodwa. Nkosi Malaban is the Godmick for community safety, and although Zodwawa Bantu's work does nothing to endanger communities, the Mek has a real problem with the raunchy dancer. Nkosi Malaban did not sugarcoat her opinion of Wabantu's work, describing the dancer as a disgrace to future generations. She elaborated on her feelings. "Zodwawa Bantu is misleading young women in our society. In her presence, one cannot help but be in awe. She has made herself famous for being a panthalus queen, a savannah fanatic, and for cashing an R35,000 an hour for appearances at events." The Mek is the latest public figure to criticize Zodwa's work. Earlier this month, Celeste Ndila dragged the dancer for her decision not to wear underwear, and Zodwa hit back strongly. This time around, however, the KZN-born entertainer decided to respond in much calmer tones. "I am sorry if I offended anyone in the process. I have realized that many people do not like what I do, but this is how I like to live my life. My aim is not to offend anyone but to entertain because I make a Mugabe coup. Nelson Chamisa reveals how they helped army to remove Mugabe within a week. MDCT Vice President Nelson Chamisa has claimed that the opposition backed the military-led Operation Restore Legacy to ensure the emergence of a weaker and easy-to-defeat leader in the form of President Emmerson Mnangagwa. Speaking at a SAPES Trust discussion on Thursday, Chamisa said it was for strategic reasons that the MDCT supported the ouster of former President Robert Mugabe through military intervention, as the 93-year-old veteran politician was a tough nut to crack when it came to elections. He also vowed the MDCT would block attempts by Mnangagwa to either bring forward or delay the 2018 elections. Chamiza was responding to one of the panelists, Ibo Mendoza, who lashed out at the Morgans Van Iri-led Party for political short-sightedness by backing the military and ZANU-PF in the removal of Mugabe, hoping to benefit from the spoils which they never got. What Chamiza said the decision by his party was a political strategy to eliminate Mugabe, who was by far a stronger candidate than his successor. He said Mugabe's removal was a God-sent gift to his party, which would now have to face a less charismatic leader with a track record of losing elections even to minnows. We make no apology for participating in the demonstrations. For us, Mugabe was a more difficult opponent than Ed and Gagwa. It was a strategic decision we made. As far as we are concerned, Ed is a weaker candidate compared to Mugabe. Why is Ed weaker? He is charisma-free. Why is Ed weaker? He does not have grassroots support. Why is Ed weaker? He has no track record. His track record is of defeat. Defeat even to junior people like former Kwekwe MP Blessing Chebando, he said. The Kuwads on the East MP added, so for us in terms of confronting a political opponent, we had to redefine the opponent and we wanted to help ZANU-PF to give us a weaker opponent in Ed. We still believe that Ed is our next guest for defeat. We have no doubt about that. Chamiza said ZANU-PF MPs were trying to use parliament to have elections postponed because they were aware Ngagana would not stand a chance against the opposition party. He vowed his party would block any move by the ruling party to try to use parliament to postpone the elections. Chamiza said the MDCT had presented a list of demands to Ngagana to be fulfilled before elections could be held, among them a pledge by the military that they would accept the outcome of the polls. In the past, the military has made a position that the presidency was a straitjacket that could not be held by anyone without liberation or credentials, shutting out Van Iri, who had posed a serious challenge to Mugabe and handed him his first electoral defeat in 2008. Mendoza urged the opposition to immediately come up with a presidential candidate if they were fancying any chance of beating Mnangagwa. First Lady Auxilia does something Grace Mugabe failed to do since 2002 as Mnangagwa leaves Davos. President Emmerson Mnangagwa has left Davos, Switzerland, for Ethiopia, where he will join other heads of state and government for the 30th Africa Union Summit. He is expected back in Zimbabwe in 3 days' time. Acting Secretary for Information, Media and Broadcasting Services Ivan Hogarira said Vice President Constantino Chiwenga would be acting president from yesterday until Mnangagwa returns. Mnangagwa was in Davos, Switzerland, where he met with top business people, including International Monetary Fund boss Christine Lagarde and World Bank Chief Executive Officer Kristalina Georgieva, on the sidelines of the 48th World Economic Forum. First Lady Auxilia Mnangagwa also joined her peers at the Organization of African First Ladies Against HIV and AIDS, OAFLA, in Addis Ababa, a first for Zimbabwe since the philanthropic body was formed in 2002. Former First Lady Grace Mugabe never participated as OAFLA, instead reportedly choosing shopping and globetrotting with her husband on their numerous foreign trips. UNAIDS Country Director Gurmhali on Wednesday hailed the historic step taken by Mrs. Mnangagwa after she expressed commitment to play a strategic national and international advocacy role in ending HIV and AIDS. Mrs. Mnangagwa said she would take her role and partnership with UNAIDS seriously. We have orphans, child-headed families in our nation caused mostly by HIV and AIDS. Everyone has been affected and, therefore, a response should not only be left to those infected because it's a collective effort, she said. The First Lady, who has over the past 60 days visited several public health institutions, children's homes and prisons, said her aim was to raise more awareness and complement government efforts to end HIV and AIDS. My role is to effectively use my office to raise awareness for a national response. This position is not for me to have people bowing every time I walk in, but it has to be used for nation building and betterment of other people's lives because it's held in trust, she said. Fans warned about fake Uzalo auditions. Fans are being warned against posts advertising auditions for the popular ZIMBABWE show, Uzalo. This came after a Facebook page advertising auditions to be held in Johannesburg on 9 and 10 July emerged. The page is currently at around 3,800 likes. It asks for those who want to audition to register by messaging the account with a valid email address. It is not certain if the page is charging fans for the auditions, as previous fake accounts have done. However, the show's producers have confirmed that the auditions are fake. If there were auditions, it would be communicated by them and not a third party. Uzalo is definitely not holding any auditions. Any reports that the production is holding auditions are false, and we urge the public to ignore these announcements, and to look to the official Uzalo Facebook, Twitter and Instagram pages for any announcements about such developments, the show's publicist, Rang Setchwello said. There was a similar scam last year that asked fans to pay R100 into a private bank account to secure a place to attend an audition at Urban's Moses Mabhida Stadium. Zimbabwe's new president won't apologize for Madibulin massacre. Zimbabwe's new president Emmerson Mnangagwa, although acknowledging that the wrong was committed against the people of Madibulin, he refused to apologize for it. The president was Minister for National Security when the massacres in Madibulin occurred, in which 20 people were killed during a security crackdown. President Mnangagwa was interviewed by the BBC during the World Economic Forum summit currently on the go in Davos, Switzerland, was asked about the 1980s massacres. Wherever wrong is committed, the government of the day must apologize, the president said. However, he did not offer an apology. We have put up a commission. That should not stop us from having a better future, he did say. He explained that he had signed a National Healing and Reconciliation Bill into law that would allow communities affected by the massacres to air their grievances. He also, under pressure by the interviewer, did concede to being willing to appear before the commission if asked but denied the reports that 20 people were killed as being incorrect. GC was never fired on Uzalo. Actor and musician Kayama Adladla, popularly known for his part on the ZIMBABWE telenovela Uzalo, is said to be making a return to the soap after rumors of being fired. There were rumors circulating that the star was fired, but he denied the allegations. Speaking to the Sun team, Uzalo's gay beautician said he had asked for a break from the primetime soap that airs on ZIMBABWE from Monday to Friday. This was so he could focus on other business interests, he insisted. Said GC, I'm still part of Uzalo's cast and have already resumed shooting with the soapy. I'd heard rumors that I was fired, with some saying I was suspended. But my fans should know that there was nothing like that. I simply asked for a break. Some of GC's fans had even been asking him on social network when he'd be seen again on Uzalo. In Uzalo, GC left KwaMashu to live with his parents in the village after losing everything and being rejected. Ex-lover Jojo, played by Sefesalcio Lada, told Sowetan that his fans will see as he struggles with depression after everything he had been through. GC's reintroduction will occur when he attends a wedding. While at the wedding, Mansuza and Smangel die, and he is forced to stay longer. He tries to work at the salon, but it is clear that everyone still does not trust him. Latest on Wicknell Cheveo, who revealed the true father of his week-old son to the public. Controversial businessman Wicknell Cheveo is in the eye of a storm after sharing pictures of a DNA test to prove the paternity of his week-old son, sparking a public outcry from people who say he publicly shamed his wife Sonia Mazzacanda. Sir Wicknell, as Cheveo likes to call himself, shared the picture on his Facebook and Instagram social media accounts yesterday morning. And the results from the paternity test conducted at DNA Diagnostics Center in Ohio, America, prove that Sir Wicknell is 99.999997% the father of his son, who he named John Cheveo. The paternity test seems to have been ordered by Sir Wicknell after he shared his bundle of joy last week, and some on social media questioned the paternity of his child. While other people were congratulating Sir Wicknell, a number doubted that he was able to sire a child. Rather than standing with his wife Sonia, Sir Wicknell appears to have buckled under public scrutiny and decided to have a DNA test to prove that he fathered the infant. Instead of applauding him, many took aim at Sir Wicknell, saying what he did was irresponsible as he did not consider the impact of his actions on Sonia. Some said his decision suggested that Sir Wicknell believes his wife is untrustworthy and could have lied to him that the child was his. Greater than of all the disgusting and disrespectful things you have done, this takes the list. So you didn't care enough about what this implies to your wife, but you wanted to prove to people you have never met that indeed John is your child. No nothing but Primrose and Bell posted on the comments of the picture of the paternity results. Another time errand buyer said Sir Wicknell had humiliated his wife. I don't know why he had to do paternity test and go on to publish them on social media. But I'm thinking, how can a man stoop this so low? On your way up you have made many enemies, but are they worth you denigrating your wife, emotionally undressing her on public platforms? Certainly not, said Mariam Bayer on Facebook. Others like Immaculate Dumashang and Yukasadi pointed out that what Sir Wicknell had done would affect his child in the near future. So, how do you think your son is going to feel after his odds Wakudi, after he's told, your dad had to do a DNA test to prove that you were really his? It's none of my business, but I just had to ask. Former President Mugabe ordered to vacate farm. Former President Robert Mugabe's security aides based at Gushungo Holdings, Private, Limited and the Zimbabwe Republic Police, ZRP, support unit have been ordered to vacate Smithfield Farm in Mazau, which the former First Family had allegedly grabbed for the expansion of its business interests. High Court Judge Justice Happy Azu gave the order last Thursday following an application by small-scale gold miners, who had been elbowed out of the property by the Migabs. The miners, Bright Mwanga, Mohammed Rezwani Khan and Shepherd Knight Asbergo, who was represented by Philip Makanya through power of attorney, approached the court early this year after the officer in charge of Mazau ZRP and the Gushungo Holdings, Private, Limited security officer claimed their mining claims were situated in a protected zone. But in his determination, Justice Su said pending determination of the matter, the ZRP officer in charge and the Gushungo Holdings security officer, through their subordinates, should allow the applicants unhindered access to their mining claims, namely Christmas 122, 123, 102 and 103 and Mondo 4, Mondo 3 and Christmas 159. In his founding affidavit, Mikanya said in 2013, ZIMBABWE and his co-applicants were chased and dispossessed of their mining claims by Mugabe's security officer and the police protection unit. The applicants approached the then mining commissioner, in Chieta, over the dispossession of their mining claims, and he responded that Smithfield Farm is not under a protection zone and ordered that the second respondent and other members of the security forces, which had been deployed thereon, should not interfere with applicants' mining operations, Mikanya said. Though the members of the security forces did not vacate the applicants' mining claims when the mining commissioner ruled that Smithfield Farm does not fall under a protected zone, they then moved out of the farm in November 2017 and the applicants went back to their mining claims and resumed operations. Mikanya said, recently, the ZRP and Mugabe's security officer deployed their officers on Smithfield Farm and barred the three men from further carrying out mining operations on their claims. He said the police and the Gashungo Holdings security officer had put up a boom gate at the farm entrance, where they were screening people entering the farm and were not letting in anyone intending to go to the mining claims. The applicants left the mining equipment unguarded, as they were randomly chased from their mining sites and some left or which they had mined, Mikanya said. The equipment and ore are being taken, stolen by illegal miners who are sneaking into the farm using undesignated entrances. Thereby the applicants are being prejudiced of their mining ore and their equipment worth thousands of dollars is being vandalized and or stolen. Inside Sandy Mokwina's last day on set. Veteran actor Sandy Mokwina was frail but resolute as he made his way onto set last week for what would become his final scene on set television. The former Yizo Generations and Scandal star died at a Johannesburg hospital on Wednesday of natural causes. Those close to the star said he fell ill in the weeks leading up to his death and was frail when he arrived on set to shoot his scenes. He shot one of his last scenes last week with actors Kagiso Modupe and Brighton Goma and had to be assisted on and off set. You could see that he wasn't well and was struggling, but he wanted to be there and more than anything wanted to fulfill his passion of acting. It was inspiring to see him. His body was weak but his mind was still very sharp, Brighton said. Kagiso said Sandy did not forget his lines or stumble through the scene. He was very professional. He didn't fluff his lines once, he remembered everything. It gave me hope to see him. He was smiling and joking. We knew he was sick but I had hoped he would be fine. Kagiso said he was shocked to hear of the actor's death on Wednesday. He was positive and had a glitter in his eyes, so I thought he would be okay. Little did I know that it was his last, his grand farewell. Five cool facts about the Thailand viral star ZIMBABWE. Before last week, ZIMBABWE had no Twitter account and no idea that a video she created would go viral, making her popular phrase Thailand part of Mzansi's vocabulary. Senzi has since become a viral star after a side-splitting video dominated social media platforms for days. The viral star told She's Alive that when she made the video she was trying to chase the January blues away by making her friends laugh, and never anticipated that it would become such a big deal. In the video, the young woman, who appears to have been caught off guard, wants to find out why she was being recorded and blurts out, Thailand. Why are you filming me? However, the direct translation of the word means, why are you doing me? Speaking to Metro FM, Senzi said her life has changed drastically because more people now recognize her face. She explained that the next step was to make herself available for appearances at events. People give me so much attention. But the people I work with already knew that I am funny. When people book me, it will be to get the story behind who I am and for me to come say I'm Tylani Manch. Here are 5 cool facts about the internet sensation. 1. She's 24 years old too. She's a qualified nurse, who works in Durban. 3. She only created a Twitter account after her video went viral. 4. Senzi always knew she was destined for fame and all it took was a 13-second video to cement her belief. 5. She's originally from Impanchini. Mugabe family given deadline to vacate private school land. Former President Robert Mugabe's family has been given 7 days to vacate a private land, which they allegedly grabbed from the Reformed Church in Zimbabwe, RC's-owned Eaglesville Senior School in Harare. The school's board chairperson, Enos Chomutiri, told Newsday yesterday that they have instructed their lawyer, Rodney McCaughey, to order the Mugabes off stand number 791, Greystone Township, registered in their name under deed 4149/80. McCaughey said the eviction letter was handed to security officials at Mugabe's Blue Roof residence in Borodale Brook. Our clients have notified us that you have illegally occupied their above-mentioned piece of land without their authority and without any lawful or just cause, part of the letter read. They have notified us that you have now planted maize crops, on the said piece of land without their authority. Our clients have now asked us to demand, as we hereby do, that you vacate the said piece of land within the course of the next 7 days from date of this letter, failing which our instructions are to institute proceedings for your eviction without further notice. The letter, dated January 23, was addressed to the Gushunko Holdings manager, only identified as Nyoni. The latest developments follow reports that the Mugabes pulled down a billboard erected by Eaglesville headmaster Dennis Anderson showing that the property belonged to the church under the Eaglesville Dacefield Trust, EDT. Chalmutiri said the church has had the title deeds to the land since 1978. He said the Mugabes claimed they have title to the land, which they acquired from the government in 2015 after the property was gazetted for compulsory acquisition. The land, measuring 23 hectares, runs from where Borodale Road intersects with Harare Drive to where it intersects with Crowhill Road and Helensvale Shopping Center, the road that leads to the Mugabes' expansive Blue Roof mansion. The land was earmarked for the development of Eaglesville Senior School, an elite school currently operating from rented premises in the capital's Willowvale industrial area. A senior government official, who spoke to Newsday on condition of anonymity, said the property was state land given to the church by the colonial government in 1978, which they then gave to Eaglesville School to build its campus, before Grace expressed interest in the land. Former local government minister Ignatius Chombo then gazetted the land for compulsory acquisition to build a Robert Mugabe Memorial Center, but the move was declared unlawful by the administrative court. In its ruling, the court said the government's compulsory land acquisition policy could not apply on privately owned urban land. Minister Chombo then said he would get alternative land for the church, but I doubt if it was done by the time he left the ministry. I am sure the matter will be solved soon, the official said. Court papers seen by Newsday show that there has been a legal battle over the land between the local government ministry and Netherduitske Reformeerd Kerksynod van Zuid-Afrika dating back to 2016. The case, number 14/16, was withdrawn from the administrative court by the government in February 2017. Take notice that the applicant withdraws the notice of application for order confirming acquisition of a piece of land filed in case no LA 14/16's tendering wasted costs. Read a notice to the administrative court issued by the lands ministry. The church, in its submission before the administrative court, argued the land was meant for public infrastructure and could not be acquired by the government. Mugabe supercars in Botswana crash, police. 3 luxury cars belonging to the Mugabe family were briefly detained in Botswana after the vehicles were involved in a crash as they were driven out of Zimbabwe. Police said on Tuesday the Rolls-Royce Ghost, a red Porsche and a Range Rover were damaged when the convoy, led by former First Lady Grace Mugabe's son, slowed down to avoid cattle crossing the road. Superintendent Wazo Zambezi said the vehicles were hit by a Toyota Corolla near the village of Artesia, 80 kilometers northeast of the capital, in the accident on Friday night. "We kept the vehicles for a few hours at the police station and they were released to the owners on Saturday morning," he said. "We always keep the vehicles involved in accidents and those 3 cars were not an exception." Driving to South Africa for a service, Grace Mugabe has not been seen in public since her husband Robert Mugabe was ousted from power in November after a military intervention that ended his 37-year reign. The Chronicle, a state-owned newspaper in Zimbabwe, reported this week that Grace's son Russell Goraza had been stopped at the border for several hours as he drove into Botswana. The cars were suspected of being used to smuggle cash and other valuables out of Zimbabwe after Mugabe's fall. They were released after several hours of searches and when Goraza produced documents proving that Grace had granted him permission to drive her Rolls-Royce to Botswana and South Africa. The Chronicle quoted Goraza as saying he was driving to South Africa to have the cars serviced. Goraza is Grace's son from her first marriage. She also has 2 sons and a daughter with Robert Mugabe, 93. Grace, who is 41 younger than her husband, was widely criticized for her extravagance and lavish shopping sprees as the Zimbabwean economy collapsed under Mugabe's authoritarian rule. Son buries his father with R100,000 cash. A loving son has given his deceased father a final send-off in a coffin filled with $7,630. According to coconuts.co, the funeral was held on January 16, 2018.